like to speak on principles of offense or offenses. Principles guiding offenses in the sense of offending ourselves. And the first important principle that I would like us to know is that it is impossible for two or more people to live together without one person offending the other. None of them is 100% perfect like God. And so in one way or the other, we will offend one another. The older will offend the younger. The younger will offend the older. The educated will offend the illiterate. The illiterate will offend the educated. The rich will offend the poor. The poor will offend the rich. Men will offend women. Women will offend men. Husband will offend wife. Wife will offend husband. Parents will offend children. Children will offend parents. Members of a church will offend their pastor. Pastor will offend members of the church. And that's why in Luke chapter 17, verse 1, it says, "Then said he unto the disciples, It is impossible, but that offenses will come. But woe unto him through whom they come." So the Bible is saying here that it is impossible for two or three or more people to live together without offenses coming or without one person offending the other. In fact, the best of friends will offend one another. That's why Jesus Christ said it is impossible for offenses not to come. But he didn't say that is the end though. He said, "Woe unto him through whom the offenses will come." That means that there will be some form of punishment or repercussion for the person that created that offense, that did what led to offense. Verse 2 says, "It were better for him that a millstone were hanged about his neck, and he cast into the sea, than that he should offend one of these little ones." So he is saying that for you to offend any of God's children, for you to offend them, for you to make them to sin, for you to make them to get offended to the point of sinning against God, he said it is a grave offense that will attract great punishment. He said it's even better for that person that they should tie a heavy thing around his neck and cast him into the sea. That one is terrible on his own. He said that situation is better than the punishment that will come upon them. So we can see that God is not saying because you have heard that offenses will come, let us offend one another anyhow. You must allow the Spirit of God to help you to refrain from deliberately offending another person. Offense is like a temptation. The person that offends you is like creating a temptation for you, but you need to overcome it. In 1 Corinthians chapter 10, it tells us there that there has no temptation taking you, verse 13, but such as is common to man. But God is faithful, who will not suffer you to be tempted above that ye are able, but will with the temptation also make a way to escape, that ye may be able to bear it. That means that temptation or being offended, it will always come. He said it's common to man. It's common among men that something that will offend you, something that will make you, tempt you to do wrong will come. He said, but God will always make a way of escape. You don't need to fall for the offense. You don't need to sin because somebody offended you. You can overcome it. I want us to look to Colossians chapter 3, and we want to read verse 13. He said, "Forbearing one another and forgiving one another, if any man have a quarrel against any, even as Christ forgive you, so also do ye." You cannot count the number of sins or offenses that you committed against God, but Christ forgave us all. You have to be sincere with yourself. There is no one that has not offended God in many ways, yet God forgives. And he's saying that if God forgave us because of Christ, then we ought to forgive one another. Don't say that, what that person did was too terrible. We have done terrible things against God, either secretly or publicly, yet God forgive us. And God